I want to now hand things over to our R&D team, to Marino, James, and Frédéric, to show you now from a portfolio perspective what's coming.
Hello everyone. Welcome in that 100% R&D session. We'll try with my two colleagues to provide you some insights about what's new, what's coming, what's next in our R&D activities. I am Frédéric PENSO. I'm a portfolio director in charge of the 3DEXPERIENCE ENOVIA brand. And I must admit that I really enjoy being to this event because in a very short time frame, we are collecting altogether a lot of business case. We are better learning, understanding what is your business challenge. And I think it's that feeling, you are sharing also that feeling, James?
Absolutely. I absolutely love this event. This is the second time I've done this, and I've also done some smaller regional groups. And we love to get the customer feedback. We love to hear how you guys are using our product. We love to hear your enhancement ideas. And I think as we move forward in this presentation, you'll see how we're taking your ideas and putting them into our products. So I'm going to hand it over to Marino and go from there.
Yeah, hello, my name is Marino MUSER. I'm part of ENOVIA R&D. So I'll be kicking off this three-part session with updates, key achievements we made in our Gen 7 journey. And it's quite, as we invest a lot in this new area, it's quite exciting to be able to finally start to show what it is, and more importantly, what value it brings. So let's...
Maybe go back to slide 3 here on the text.
I think that's good. Let's go to the foundation. So let's review quickly the foundation because this really sets the stage for this transformation, starting with virtual twins. So virtual twins are a digital representation of the products, of the organization, the value network, and much more. And as those twins are connected together, with any change or decision is taken in one area, it can be simulated throughout the complete ecosystem, allowing for global optimization. To unlock the value of the virtual twins, we have experiences which are a tailored way, a focused way to explore and interact with those twins, like running simulations. So really from the right angle for the objective at hand. Now, how to drive the outcomes? That's where generative experiences are kicking in. They orchestrate the work of the people and their virtual companions towards a given objective. Cycle of life is very important as we know it applies to product life cycle, but to way more because in many areas we want to be able to close the loop, learn, and do better on the next cycle. Sense computing brings everything to life with immersive experiences, like with VR goggles. It allows to be more immersive, to have a deeper understanding and make better decisions. And finally, behind all that, we have the knowledge and know-how platform. It captures, continuously learns, and reveals enterprise knowledge. So let's drill down. I think you may have heard about our companions, Aura, Leo, and Mary. Aura being targeted or helping more business user type of, I would say, employees, while Leo is more focused toward engineering, like solve complex technical challenges across disciplines. And Mary brings deep scientific expertise. So those companions are powered by what we call competencies. Competencies are domain of expertise. For example, it could be project management, it could be mechanical engineering. And those competencies provide skills, and skills being the capacity to take actions, like generate a project, provide insights. So those companions are helping providing best practices, help to generate data, take actions. I mean, there's no end to the list. And one important thing to mention is the companions are not, I would say, something on the side, loosely connected. It's not like if you were connecting ChatGPT through APIs, MCP to our solution. They are designed to be very natively and strongly connected with the application that they are supporting. What I mean by that is, for example, they know, the companion knows which document or product is currently open on the screen. He knows what the user has selected. So he knows the context, so he's more likely to help with the task at hand. And also being able to provide feedbacks directly within the application. So now let's look at generative experiences. So generative experiences are a purpose-driven set of business processes that orchestrate the work of the people and their companion towards an objective. So again, if we go back just to a virtual companion, they really help to help anyone with their task at hand, and generative experiences at a higher level, they help with the workflow. So for example, it can be for generative material compliance to help assess the compliancy and also to help identify and qualify the suppliers. So we'll look at some examples here. Aura, that's a competency, document management, which allows to extract and reveal the knowledge that is in all those documents that otherwise could possibly remain buried. Product release engineering help to assess, based on a set of criteria, if a product is ready to be released, to identify the gaps and possibly make suggestions on how to address those gaps. Leo configuration engineering helps generate and refine configurable product structure based on the portfolio, the sensitivity refinement. So it saves time, ensures consistency also between commercial and technical variability. Product management, that's another competence. So it helps accelerate the product configuration definition, reduce variance redundancy, which is a real risk, and also simplify the rule management, which often is seen as something complex to manage. So when it comes to program and project, first, and that's actually the first competency that we are releasing, project management. So it helps a product manager and really all stakeholders to get insights, including, for example, it could be sentiment analysis based on what people are commenting. Are there some weak signals that should emerge? Or early risk detection, but also with generative capacity, like generate a project or a piece of a project, and also take actions at large. Generative multi-scale program. This one comes a bit more later down the road, but we are working on it. So it helps really with the governance of the programs across the different disciplines. So it can be design, quality, planning, etc. And this generative experience supports sense computing. So that's quite interesting. With VR goggles, essentially, you are able to have an immersive experience starting from the product. So you can imagine the product and being able to project on the different parts. Are there any risks? Who are the supplier? What's the maturity state? So eventually to get to a good understanding and good way to communicate and eventually to take good decisions. RFX management, so here it's a competence as well, helping to generate those requests, to be able to submit them, and also to be able to analyze and review the answers, being able to compare them and help with the negotiation. Generative material compliance orchestrates the collection, analysis, and regulatory compliance data reporting, including proactively managing risks. And generative configure price quote experience, what a long name, but a lot of value. Streamlines the quote validation, enforce corporate rules, reducing order time, and ensure traceability. So let's look at one of those experiences in action now.
Thanks to the Generative Regulation Compliance experience, companies cut compliance-related effort and expand quickly their addressable markets. Reacting to a change of regulation in Europe, the virtual companion Aura actualizes the virtual twin of the regulation. The new standard is now available as a model with individualized parametric requirements. To understand the impact of the new regulation, Leo, the virtual companion for engineering, analyzes the new specification against the medical device requirements. Leo creates traceability link with their justification down to the physical design. The assessment of the impact is complete, and the resulting measures can be adopted.
All right. And another demo you saw yesterday with Stéphane Declé and Morgan Zimmerman was around project. That was one of the other competencies that I presented just before. So we reviewed virtual companions, generative experiences. Now let's look at the virtual twin topic with virtual twin of organization, aka VTO for short. So at the core, VTO, Virtual Twin of Organization, is about bringing system modeling, which is well established in the product world, to apply it to the enterprise, to the organization. So being able to shape, simulate, navigate the transformation, the target organization, through generative experiences to deploy those targeted changes, be able to ramp up, run, monitor, and eventually to learn from it and to prepare and plan for the next transformation. So in more details, we have a new role, organization transformer. So it helps to indeed model the target enterprise. What changes do I want to make? How do I want to operate to address the new challenges? To be able to optimize, simulate, measure the gains that are expected, and then through generative experiences, V2R, to generate the transformation plan, as change will not just happen. And also to be able to generate assets that will be usable in the execution part. Now, looking at the right side of the slide, so now we are in the transformation, we have a role called Organization Explorer at the bottom right. And this role is about helping anyone in the company to be able to explore, navigate the referential, understand what are the business processes, who is contributing to what, in what capacity, what are the key milestones, and so on, really to understand how they can contribute, what are the new ways of doing things, how can they know the rule of the game. And as per contribution, you see at the top, those are all the roles that we already know, allowing to manage projects, to manage workforce, and to do the work, to do product authoring and so on. And then generative experiences to be able to learn, capture insight, and recommend changes. So the whole picture, essentially, that's about virtual twin of organization, the enterprise transformation being essentially a managed system where on the virtual, you define the transformation you want to make, you deploy, and in the real world, so to speak, to make the transformation, execute, and with feedback loop to learn and do better on the next transformation. So knowledge and know-how, that's another very, very strong pillar of Gen 7. So knowledge and know-how platform, that's at the core, encompasses standards and regulations, industrial and value stream knowledge and know-how. And so through AI, we are able to leverage, to put in action this knowledge and know-how in the context of virtual companions, competencies, and generative experiences. So that's quite an exciting time, I would say, for R&D, for product design, and I think for the enterprise at large, as there are a lot of scenarios we had in mind that we didn't know how to do, essentially. Like, okay, can I, from a product and its specification, can I generate a project ready to run, ready to go? So those were always things we wanted to do, and we didn't know how to do, and now we have a path. We have a path, and we follow the path. So that's quite exciting, and there are many other scenarios that we could not even think about that now are also on our plate in our target. So Gen 7 is in action, and on this, I hand over to James, I believe, for the ENOVIA drivers and updates.
Thank you, Marino. Hello, everyone. I'm going to give everyone a warning. Due to timing constraints, I'm not going to be able to go over all of our updates for all domains and disciplines. So I'd like you to visit our ENOVIA user community to see all of our latest updates. I'm going to start with a video that shares some of our key developments our team has brought to life this past year. It's a really cool video. I hope you enjoy it. So you can see we've been really, really busy. So just a really quick snippet of some of the stuff that we've done. So we've delivered over 1,300 functions in just a hair over a year. We've introduced 7 new roles, 6 new applications, and we have 62 major enhanced applications that we've delivered. I think the key message on the bottom of this slide is the reason we're here, is our customers you guys drive our priorities, and we appreciate each and every one of you, and I really appreciate you guys coming to this conference. So I'm going to move on to the next slide. Just a real quick overview of our domains and disciplines. We've transformed our domains and disciplines to align with our Gen 7 ambitions. So on the left side is our product side of the portfolio. We have introduced 2 new disciplines, structured PLM collaboration, and also formulated product development. On the right side is our virtual twin of the organization section, so to speak. So it covers aspects including project, workforce, cost management, and many, many other disciplines. So we've introduced 1 discipline on the right side, which is organization architecture, which is a bit what Marino was discussing earlier with the VTO topic. And the other thing is we've split up the planning domain into several smaller subdomains and disciplines. So if it's not evident, we've talked a lot about Gen 7 already. I'm going to talk a little bit about it some more. So we're heavily invested into transforming our portfolio from Gen 6 into Gen 7. We have 8 competencies planned for 2026. We have 13 for 2027, 18 for 2028. Quite ambitious, right? So for generative experiences, you can see we have 3 planned for this year, 13 for next, and then 20 for 2028. I'm going to get into a little bit more details on the coming slides. You'll see some of the targeted competencies and generative experiences for each domain and discipline. All right. So let's drive into the generative product development side. So this is the left side of our on the domain of the referential. So on the left side, we start with our collaborative industry innovator role. We understand that many of our legacy engineering central customers, one of the main challenges is moving to a unified product structure is the lack of flexibility of having multiple people work on your product structure at the same time. So with branching, merging, and compare, teams are gaining true parallel working that allow designers to perform design iterations and simulation studies independently without impacting the official BOM. So you can do design studies without changing the official BOM. So with this, BOM managers can maintain a stable, controlled product structure throughout the design phase. So design work can be validated, refined, and finalized before it's merged back into a final release product. And the thing I forgot to mention is that we have the compare solution that you can compare the changes. So you can see what changes happened from the previous version with the new version. So this enables very smooth collaboration without conflicts. Moving over to the classification manager role, we introduced browsing structure definition. So I saw it in a few sessions yesterday. We talked about browsing structure definition. So there's a lot of benefits to that. Many of our customers need to organize their engineering bill of materials in ways that reflect how they work and how you guys act in your functional responsibilities. Before this solution, a lot of our customers basically created a navigation structure embedded directly in your engineering definition. The challenge with this is it locks your product structure into a single decomposition, and it forced your teams to manage the life cycle and behavioral complexity at the engineering level. This new browsing structure definition allows flexibility with different views such as functional, zoning, system, or weight, whatever structure you need, by each different stakeholder. So with this, customers can restructure and navigate your BOM based on your operational needs. It basically preserves a clean engineering BOM. Okay, so moving on to the bottom left side with the configuration engineer role, variability management was historically constrained by configured life cycles. This required teams to rely on evolution effectivity to control design variants, which added a lot of complexity and overhead to everyday engineering work. So with variability management now available on physical revisions, we've simplified variability management to help deliver faster design iterations while reducing complexity. So we're going to move on to what's next, what's coming next. So some of our upcoming priorities for the life cycle for agile development process topic, we have two key developments we're targeting. The first one is essentially the equivalent of the float on release concept. What we are looking to solve here is to avoid the bubble up process every time a small change happens, let's say a child part. The system doesn't force you to undergo a formal, I heard a clap there, thank you. The system doesn't force you to undergo a formal revision process on the entire structure. You can modify the child part without forcing the release of the entire product structure. Okay, so the next priority, the second priority is phase-based revision schemas. Our engineering central customers already have this today, which it's essentially what this allows is different behaviors and different revision sequences based on the phase. So we understand that products in production versus products in design often have different revision schemas. So moving on to the multidiscipline configured product development side, a new application, logical product definition, is essentially a new app that allows us to consolidate requirements, model-based system engineering, or MBSE for short, system design, physical representation in a single governed framework. This combines all aspects of the engineering definition. So think of it as a control tower for customers that want to transition to MBSE to have full traceability from requirements to physical, including MBSE, schematics, system engineering, piping, et cetera. So on the Gen 7 side, we have two new competencies coming that are leveraging our Leo companion, and then we also have two generative experiences. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to one of our newer domains, which is the continuous organization and reinvention. So we released Workforce Manager, it's been a year and a half, 2 years ago, I think. It's a new role, but we've introduced some really cool capabilities with this role. So we recently introduced Workforce Capacity Planning, which brings some much needed capabilities. This capability allows project planners in collaboration with our project planner role, the ability to create a project staffing request. So based on the required business roles and skills, what that means is that business roles and skills, let's say you have, I need a design engineer that has the certain requirements. So you create a business role with a certain skill set with workforce management, and then you can send that request to a workforce manager. So that workforce manager can then decide, yeah, I have a person that meets those requirements, and I can allocate them to that project. Again, it's based on their capabilities and availability. You can see the availability in the system directly, see if they're already allocated to another project, do they have open workforce availability. Because you don't want to overload your resources. You want to make sure that you don't have 120% work assigned to a certain person. So on the risk management side, I brought this up earlier in one of the sessions, is we've extended risk coverage with CATIA system elements, suppliers, portfolio items and requirements, and we're going to continue adding more in the future. So as Marino mentioned earlier, we also recently introduced the new Enterprise Transformer role, which is supporting the VTO topic. This role supports the V, or virtual side, by enabling customers the ability to model, optimize, and deploy organizations. As we move to our upcoming priorities, we continue to invest, let me hit the slide here, in our resource management capabilities with resource pools. So a resource manager will have the ability to propose a candidate for a workforce request from a pool, which could be a group of people from different organizations. Additionally, we plan to introduce workforce scheduling optimizers, which support multi-source assignments. What we mean with multi-sources is that the system takes into account the workload beyond projects. So for example, tasks and such. For organization architecture, we'll be introducing a new role. Marino had already mentioned that, but it's called the Organization Explorer. So, we're planning to empower teams to explore their enterprise referential, which includes business roles, programs, milestones, and processes. For Gen 7, we have one Aura-enabled competency plan and one generative experience plan as well. Okay, so let's move on to optimize portfolio execution. This is a busy slide. So we have a lot going on in this domain. So back in 25X FDA01, we introduced the AI Execution Assistant. It was our first kind of foray into AI. With that execution assistant, we were able to identify project delays and data inconsistencies. And as you can see, we've made a lot of progress on AI since then. We've really dove in headfirst into the AI topic. I'm sure it's pretty evident. We've recently introduced, when we move on to Project Planner, we've recently introduced Resource Allocation tab, which project planners can visualize resource constraints. We've also taken a step further in collaboration with workforce management, and we've given the ability to manage the capacity planning of your project resources up front before there's a problem. I just mentioned that about workforce a minute ago. So for project managers, we've delivered, this is our DPM role, or project planner role. We've introduced a ton of user experience and productivity enhancements based on customer feedback. For example, mass editing, task prioritization, and cancellation in the Project Gantt application. So moving on to product manager. So a base configuration is a commercial offering that comes equipped with a set of standard, default, or optional variants and options for a given sellable item. It's kind of a mouthful there. We now allow product managers the ability to control product complexity by defining modular base configurations and option packages. This improves variant visibility and enables more precise structured variability management. So moving on to change. A lot of users in here use change management. So for Change Manager, we've added a lot of quality of life enhancements, including giving the ability of users to duplicate or copy changes. I know a lot of you have requested that. And providing better visibility into the approval status on all change summary pages. So many users prefer table views, so we've enabled customizable table views for realized and proposed changes. So moving on to the right side, for change management, we are focused on simplifying the change process and also user experience. We get a lot of feedback that the change process is too heavy. We will be focusing on ways to improve the navigation, authoring, and approval process. So onto the product management side, we are focusing on rule maintenance and conflict resolution to improve user efficiency for complex products that have many variant options and rules. Additionally, we're also going to be introducing modular architecture to accommodate product line engineering. Over the project planning side, we have a very distinct advantage over our competition because we connect tasks to 3DEXPERIENCE platform object as deliverables. We're looking to automate task completion percentage by looking at the life cycle of the deliverables. We call this invisible governance. So for example, when a deliverable is promoted to frozen, the task percentage will be automatically updated in project planning. So an engineer doesn't have to physically go in saying, I'm marking my task as complete. That, to me, is going to bring so much productivity and project accuracy. It's going to be an absolute game changer. So for project management, we're continually updating the project Gantt and collaborative task applications. We recognize that the classic non-dashboard experience has more features than our dashboard application. So our goal is to continue to update the dashboard solution capabilities. This helps customers continuously migrate to the dashboard experience. For risk management, in FDO2, we have a new tab called in the Project Gantt application. We're going to have a risk management tab in the Project Gantt application. And for collaborative tasks, we look to improve and add more harmonization between Project Gantt and Collab Task. So for Gen 7, we have a lot of irons in the fire in this domain. We have 3 Aura-enabled competencies. We have 5 generative experiences on the roadmap. I apologize for talking so fast, by the way. So we're going quick. So moving on to the value network domain. This is, again, one of our newer domains that we put in a couple years ago. We have several key highlights. I brought this up in the past, but I feel that we have a unique differentiator that none of our competitors do. We can connect engineering, sourcing, and your suppliers together through the 3DEXPERIENCE platform, allowing your sourcing team and your suppliers to shift left, which means they can be involved much earlier in the process. So I'm going to move on to the component management side, which is our supplier item manager role. Many of our customers were asking for a faster component qualification process. So last year, we introduced a fast-track approval process that cut out a lot of process steps, and it essentially streamlined the approval process. To further enhance our supplier collaboration capabilities, we introduced a new role called Supplier Request Manager. So the Supplier Request Manager role essentially allows you to collaborate online in a protected portal, and most importantly, it protects your IP. Very, very important, I'm sure, for everyone in this room. This is the same portal that our RFX management solution uses. We currently support design, prototype, component changes, material compliance, Class A declarations, and also weight requests through that portal. Well, we're going to continue expanding the capabilities as we get further, more mature with that role. So looking at the Supply Network Manager role, we have introduced several new capabilities, including an onboarding process and a new application called Supply Network Intelligence. That supplier onboarding process provides a standard way to onboard new suppliers and manufacturers. And then for the Supply Network Intelligence app, we provide valuable insights for your entire supplier network, including, let's say, top and bottom performing suppliers, the number of parts that you have connected to each supplier. Some of the examples were given in Machiko's demonstration yesterday. And now as we look to the right side of the screen, what's coming next, let's start with RFX management. So very, very soon in FDO2, we're going to be introducing requests for proposals, or RFPs as they're often called. This is going to drastically extend your negotiation capabilities by enabling data-driven supplier selection. So you can evaluate suppliers based on weighted criteria, such as cost, quality, compliance, lead times, are just some of the examples. It's going to really help reduce the bias of your sourcing process, making sure you source the right supplier at the right price. So on the component management discipline, we're going to be adding a new supply bomb capability. The goal of the supply bomb is to produce a bill of material with key supplier information, such as standard pack size, trying to think what else. We have vendor and manufacturer information, amongst many other things. So what the purpose of this for is you can share this supply bomb with your internal procurement teams or potentially contract manufacturers. So on the Gen 7, I'm hoping you guys are seeing a pattern here. So we are targeting, three roles that are gonna have Aura-enabled competencies, and then we're also gonna have 3 generative experiences. All right, moving on to proactive quality and compliance. I'm flying here, but I still have a couple more minutes, sorry. I was running a bit behind. Proactive quality and compliance, some of our key highlights. Okay, so for material compliance engineer, we introduced Class A materials declaration in the last year. This is in collaboration with our supplier request manager role. We've also added a feature to generate a compliance report and share it to our SWIM. On the product record management role, we recently introduced flexible templates, the ability to automate and automatically generate reports of the product record, which is compliant to quality and regulatory standards, which is very, very important. Moving on to the quality management analyst role, we now have embedded root cause and risk analysis, which allow you to track and resolve risk in your quality system, and for the first time, orchestrate change governance with business workflows directly from your quality management system, or QMS. So as we turn on to the what's next, so for materials compliance, we're going to be extending beyond Class A. We're going to be going to Class C declarations. What this is a product level declaration. This is, again, in collaboration with our supplier request manager role. After the supplier declaration, we're going to consolidate the responses in the platform. The users can then do a complete decomposition of whether or not your product is compliant to the regulatory standard. So finally, we intend to provide a way to enable users to define their customized regulations, which will theoretically expand the scope of supported regulations to all industries and all customers. For the product manager role, we are automating the compilation of the full design history, including design planning, requirements, risk, quality records, and we are going to be introducing flexible customer configurations of submissions and product mapping. So on the quality management analyst role, we're going to be introducing some automation with 3D objects, and additionally, we will support customer-defined quality metrics. So for Gen 7, we have 3 Aura-enabled competencies and also 3 generative experience planned. So I'm on my last slide. So I'm going to cover the personalized sales experience domain. So last year, we introduced 2 new roles in this domain. So the sales experience designer and also the sales specialist. So I announced these roles, or we announced these roles last year in 3D Experience World, and then I also did a quick session on it in the user conference in the Netherlands. So what these roles is, they cover the configured price quote or CPQ domain. We're truly a unique player in this domain, as we're the only player that can connect the product definition to the sales process. So with our sales specialist role, users can now, this is one of the highlights in the last 12 months, users can now configure parametric products and instantly generate a quote with pricing rules such as lowest price allowed, and if needed, launch a request for engineering validation to generate the resolved product in SolidWorks or CATIA, which leverages our interop solution. This helps ensure that all quotes are aligned with not only engineering, but also predefined sales strategies. Moving on to our upcoming priorities are, sales experience designers will be able to leverage the, forgot to hit the button, sorry. So moving on to our upcoming priorities, sales experience designers will be able to leverage the sellable items that are in the portfolio to retrieve all necessary information and data to create the sales experience. The sales experience, for those of you that don't understand what that is, it's essentially the commercial configurator, which allows a sales specialist the ability to generate quotations based on the configured product definition. Having this connection between engineering definition and the sales quotation is a huge value to ensure that sales teams are able to generate quotes based on the latest released engineering definition. On the quotation side, which is our sales specialist role, we'll be automating the quote document creation after the approval workflow is created, if it's needed. This will promote consistency, save time, and reduce errors. Essentially, we are gathering all the information from the quotation and building a formal document that can be sent to your customers. This is leveraging a quotation template that can be chosen by the sales specialist at the time of quote. And then lastly, sales specialists will be able to define and manage delivery terms and conditions and shipping dates and Incoterms and all your commercial conditions in a predetermined validation workflow. This is important because you can have multiple validators in your workflow process, including production or sales management, will help ensure alignment within your organization. The last thing you want to do is commit to shipping a product that you can't meet the delivery date on. So imagine quoting a customer saying the delivery date is going to be X, and you can't meet that delivery date. It would be an absolute disaster. So, and many customers will hold your feet to the fire for that. So I'm going to hand it over, and I apologize for running over time, Fred. So I think we have a little bit of flexibility, but
yes,
we'll see. So thank you, Fred.
Thank you, the clicker. Now we are going to the third part of the presentation. We'll talk about the 3D Experience platform, and I will click. Okay. And as you know, in the new 3D Experience platform, we are able to handle the fact that you are navigating the virtual twin of your product, your production system, your organization. We saw that. But do you know that we are able to manage the virtual twin of your knowledge and your know-how? I will give you some insight about that in the next slides. So yesterday, during the presentation in the plenary, we explained what is the 3D Experience platform. To summarize, the value is very simple. The ultimate goal is to accelerate each and every business operation in your company. That's the goal. Okay? For that, we claim having 5 unique values. The first one is to reveal your knowledge. The knowledge is spread across documents, bill of materials, configuration, tables, the business processes. So we'll give you access for each business users. The second value is universal language. With the 3D virtual twin and ontologies, we are really accelerating and making the communication much more easier. The third is about empowering the user and the teams. We talk about that. We talk about the virtual companion, James. We talk about the SWIM and all the collaborative services, short-term and long-term we have in SWIM. And also we have Interop technology to automate the business processes. Then you go faster in your operation. But each and every operation you are doing in the platform fuel and increase your knowledge again and again. This is what we call regenerate the knowledge. Last but not least, with the 3D Experience platform, we offer you a SaaS environment where we trace and protect your IP. So that's the value. And for that, this year, we introduce a new portfolio. We structure that portfolio in 5 domains. So I gave you here the view on FD2. It will be available, I think, in 1 month from now. We have 5 domains. The first is immersive collaboration with SWIM, but you know, we have not only the role now, we have the virtual companion as well. In the left, you have everything to represent the world. It's about governing ontology and your 3D catalog. In the right, it's about observing the world with enterprise data management to augment your decision. In the bottom, it's collaborative business process. How you, with Interop, you automate your processes. And last but not least, we have Sense Experience or 3D Experience. The objective is to just materialize your innovation idea about the product into 3D application. For the rest of the presentation, I will focus on the left and the right domain and give you some insights, okay? You probably may know, but in R&D, we are organized across strategic drivers. For 3D Experience Net Vibes, we are 4 drivers. The first one is scalability. If I try to summarize what is scalability, in fact, it's about, how to say that, to manage billions of data points. It's about managing thousands of AI models and to give that power to each and every business users in a minute. That's scalability. To manage scalability and to manage the data, most of you should know that we have a full infrastructure semantic lake native in the platform. With that infrastructure, we are able to collect information for the 3D experience. That's free, it's already there, but also from other PLM, from CRM system, from ERP system, from IoT system, and we collect this information, we correlate, we join that information, we elevate that information with ontologies, and we infer, thanks to AI model or machine learning model, we enrich that information, create links, for instance. When it's done, You can build your own charts, dynamic charts, your control tower, your dashboard, and you can navigate the data. You can do what-if scenario. This is the enterprise data science architecture. We sell it across data science role. Most of them here help you to build your data perspective. One of them here, the data viewer, help you to navigate the data, just consume the data perspective. This year, we make a major announcement, quite important for us. It's quite a new paradigm, is to introduce a new role named Data Explorer. What does it mean? It means to give you the possibility, even if you are not a data expert, not a data scientist, to do your own charts. Consume all the data in the platform and do your own charts. Let me give you an example. Suppose you are an engineer in an excavator company, okay? You have already a data perspective, so I will not start from scratch here. But you can just click, I start my insight. Why? Because I want to investigate data, but I don't have the chart in my data perspective, okay? In few clicks, fully no code, you have access to your data, and then you can say, hey, I want to know on that data if my parts are compliant or not, what is the status. So in two drop-down menu selection, you can view in a first graph the full list of your parts, classified by material with information of compliancy. You can build, in few other clicks, a second chart if you want to analyze the concentration of the material, okay? And depending of the concentration of substance, depending the material. You can back and forth going and say, oh, now I want to focus on the non-compliant parts. And I want to investigate what are the drawings linked to those parts. To be sure that if my part is non-compliant, I don't have a release drawing linked to that part. And you navigate, it's very easily, and you identify that you have one part where it's non-compliant, but the drawing is released. So I have an issue. And you know what? Everything you did is contextualized. Everything you have done is in the context of the virtual twin. You can just say, hey, I want to see that part in the context of my digital mockup of my twin. Everything is dynamic. If you click on one chart to another, you can filter and you have be updated. So it's, for all users, it's very simple to use, it's contextual, it's virtual twin context-based, and even if you open this insight in, let's say, in 1 month, okay, as you are fueling new data in meantime, you will have another result, and then you create a new asset, really valuable for your company. So this is Data Explorer. I will not comment, I have no time to comment all the feature. Like you, James, we have a very incredible R&D team. The second is about Data Project.
Sorry.
The Data Project was requested by many large customers. The idea is very simple. We have a lot of data perspective and want to manage in a secure manner the data access, and also to go faster when we develop a new data perspective, to reuse the resources of one data perspective to create another data perspective, the data, the queries, and so on. The third is about collaboration. I can illustrate that one. Imagine you have a very complex data perspective, the one that Morgan showed yesterday on EPR. Okay, you navigate on a tab, you filter your color code, and you continue your navigation. You can say, hey, I stop my navigation, I want to keep, where am I? For me, for my colleagues, or for whatever, okay? Just click one button, and you have a, we call a data bookmark, and you can share it very easily. Next example, here you are, let's say, a purchase manager, okay? You are analyzing the purchasing in your company. You are make it per location, per cities. Okay. Here I'm focusing on Dublin because Dublin the purchasing is not so good. In one click, you can initiate an issue and say to your team, "Hey, please, just investigate that data because Dublin is not making good." Okay. So we are making collaboration. We have also a collaboration with Interop. It's already done. Sorry, it's a mistake here. It's not 26x, but it's 25x. It's done. And what's coming for the future? What's coming is full of AI, in fact. First of all, we will today we are giving already the possibility as a customers to take your Python scripts, your AI scripts, and to put in the 3DEXPERIENCE platform and to execute it directly on the data of the platform. But the next stage we would like to go is to offer you the possibility to build, to develop your script of AI directly in the 3D experience platform. That's the goal. The next is about data processing. We have plenty of scenarios. I will not have time to comment, but just imagine that now we are able to manage very high, complex industrial scenario in industrial equipment, in aerospace and defense. And if we are collecting the information from the sensors, this is what we call time series, and we can cross-correlate the information to understand if there is something happening for the maintenance, for instance. We are doing orchestration, automation, and we will have also to define a new KPI engine directly inside the data lake. Let's go on the second drivers. The second is about, we were talking about that yesterday, is about how I can benefit to that power of data science, of AI, if I am an on-premise customer. It's for you, Xavier. It's very simple. 2 years ago, we opened the possibility to connect the data, even if you are on-premise data. But at that time, it was only metadata. And what's the value? The value is that you don't need to do any migration. The data is in on-premise, and you access it, and you navigate it. This year, we extend that possibility to do it within 3D. So you can navigate fully the 3D of your on-premise data, but from a SaaS application. Then you can do data perspective with metadata, 3D, everything. What are the next stage? The next stage is very simple. You want to do it also in configuration. If you did a configuration selecting effectivity with your on-premise data, you can just, here I will show you, just select your car. The system is telling you, hey, you have 3 configurations. Select the configuration, you can load it. And we did a very strong effort this year about the performance. We are on a dataset about hundreds of thousands parts, and we are able to load that dataset in 35 seconds. So it's not bad. We'll continue. So we manage large assembly, I just told you. And the next stage is not to use a predefined configuration, but to configure directly from the SaaS. You will select effectivities and load your 3D data. What's next? What's next? If we can use the power of SaaS with on-premise data, why not doing it for all brands? So here you have example for Delmia with work order management, for ENOVIA with 3D markup, or Katia with weight and balance. We will continue to deliver that feature. Let me give you an example. This one is very simple on weight and balance. Today, as a mechanical engineer, you are using an application on-premise with Katia products, read the application, structure design. Okay, you do your weight and balance activity. You have a target, you calculate your weight, and you assess your weight. So you do it as usual in on-premise. Just going on the SaaS, you can, in real time, consume that data. You can see that with the data perspective, you can now modify the way you navigate the data, but you can see that you have a global target that's calculated from all the parts. You can see what are the parts where you declare or not declare a weight, and you can see what are the parts where there are missing information or not, fully. So if on-premise I am completing that information, you understood, so it's very transparent for the user on the SaaS. The third lever, the third pillar, where we organize our R&D activities is about AI. I think you all agree that everything we do today, AI is at the core and the center of everything we do, in the application, in the role, in the virtual assistant, in the processes. I will just give you an highlight of our plan. Here, it's only the plan for ENOVIA NetVibes domain for the next 18 months. You see, assistants will be everywhere to help you, to teach you, to do the work for you as a user. And it really empower you. Here, the 3 companions or competencies you have in the left is about navigating the data for a data perspective, is about piloting a data perspective, is about helping to build a data perspective corporate, or also generate a new data perspective from scratch. The fourth one is about event analysis. Morgan Zimmerman mentioned yesterday that in your company you are managing flows. I call it events here. When an event is coming to your company, It can be a problem, it can be an area, it can be a deviation, it can be an issue, it can be a case, it can be whatever, okay? We want the companion to help you to find the best next action, to recommend you to act based on what you did in the past. And the last companion is about component analysis to extract information from the 3D and to understand how you can search similar parts without doing any classification on your catalogs. I want to give you some more insight about the first one. Why? Because it's already available. We will officially deliver to you in 1 month from now, I think, FD2. And in fact, there is 2 time frames from that one. Right now, we are accessing to the data directly from the companion. And in 4 months from now, we'll be able really to pilot the data perspective and navigate it. Here it's an example. I did that test last week. So let's just suppose you are an engineer. I just ask things. And what's very nice with virtual assistants is that you can have precise question, very precise, or you can have very open question. The question I asked is, hey, Aura, where should I focus my activity today? Where I have to have an immediate attention today? And you see, will you not see? I don't know. It's far from you. Consuming the data from engineering, the companion said, hey, you have to focus on those parts because you have 6 changes in progress and you are late. Okay? That's fun. I did a test with another data perspective in the same database as a costing person. So I manage here the price, the scraps, the cost, everything. And you see the same question is giving me very different answers, but very valuable answers. And I continue with the supply chain. I have other answers. And what's also good with the companions is that you can count, you can do an average, you can do a comparison. You can say, hey, for my supply chain, just give me for the last 6 months, what are the parts I have in my stock and the evolution. So it will give you in a table the answer. No need to prepare things. It's there. It will consume the information in the PLM and give you the answer. I did another test, quite interesting. I take the responsibility of an executive guy having access to all the data. Same question, where should I focus? And he pick and choose the best information, correlating the information from engineering, costing, and supply chain. So you see, AI in the platform is becoming very huge and very impressive. I will not go for that one because I'm very late, but just 10 seconds. We have already many roles from the data science. Here is the one managing the issues. You can navigate. Thanks to AI, you will really review the potential of what we are doing. That's the main message. Before that, we were just finding similar issues, solving the issues, see the trends of the issue. Now we are building a full tree of knowledge where we classify by default your issue and the best action, next action, automatically by AI. I will switch that one. So the last drivers, and I have only one slide for that one, is about component knowledge intelligence. You probably may know that in the data science, we have a part supply technology. We help us to, in fact, extract information from 3D parts. Okay. It can be a shape, it can be holes, it can be section, it can be a volume, okay? And to calculate signature, what we call in informatics embedding, okay? To be able for you to request that data and to see if you are similar parts. It's very useful because even if you don't classify your part, you know if one part has the same shape than another in data analytics. And you can handle many other scenarios of clustering, grouping the parts, so you can go from KO to order, in other words. In 2025, we realized that, in fact, that value is very interesting for many of you. It can be for your benchmarking department. It can be for your packaging department. I had discussion yesterday. I realized also it's very crucial for the tooling department. It can be for manufacturing, after sales as well. And we connect this in 2025, the fact that that value, that signature information, clustering information are available in the data perspective. What does it mean? it's a big milestone because, in fact, you will be able, without doing nothing, for free, in fact, to say, hey, I want to see for that part, find me a similar part in geometry, in shape, and tell me for those two parts, find me the one in that average of costs for that location. So you saw I mixed 3 information. And you can do that. It's really powerful. It's really, really powerful. Here it's an example. It's about classification and clustering, but this is the main. In the left, you have your cluster, your part grouping thanks to that technology, and it's in the data perspective. So you can see very easily, and you can customize it, because with data perspective, you can do your own charts. You can say, I want to see all the part similars, and you navigate it. And you can say, I want to see the costing information as well in the same view. Okay? What's coming next? For this one, we cannot go into detail, but we will handle very more complex and industrial scenarios, thanks to that foundation. And also, we'll do it with virtual companions. That technology is available even if you have a designer. If you are in a SolidWorks environment or CATIA, you can have access to those information, and you can ask directly here in that example, very, to me, useful, is that I'm building a robot, okay? I have an issue on the parts. I don't have any classification of my parts. I want to find a similar part and to change similar parts in geometry, respecting that specification, and you have directly the proposal from the virtual companion. And you can say to the virtual companion, okay, please just change it for me. So you understand here the capabilities. And this is the last slide. I hope that gives you some insight. We give you some insight about what you are doing. So thank you very much. Do not hesitate. I don't know if we have time for questions and answers.
So thank you, gentlemen. I wanted to just reinforce one really important thing with having our R&D team up here is that it really shows 2 things. One, we're taking AI very seriously. Every single presentation is rich with that. I think the second piece is that it really reinforces that 3D Universe's strategy in the fact that it's not a 2029 strategy. Everything is happening now, and it's going to continue to accelerate as we get into this process, and so it's really exciting to see this. I think also, note to self, we might need to give R&D more than an hour of time next time we guys have you come up here, because the amount of information that you guys are delivering is incredible. I would like to give you all a few minutes to pepper this team with some questions, because this is the one opportunity that you have.
It's not pepper. It's not pepper.
No peppering, but I would like to, if there are some questions, we do have a few minutes. The other thing that is nice is we've got some people walking around with the microphones, that they will also be attending the reception. Remember their faces in case there are things that you want to engage on. As we are, and I didn't see any hands, and I apologize, but I was just looking around briefly. Important to note, we do have one back in the side, Loic, if you can just. One thing that James, I think, actually mentioned at the beginning, there's detailed information on all the releases inside the ENOVIA user community. So we have an entire wiki structure that walks through all the releases, all the functional enhancements that have been provided. So be sure that you engage with the user community a lot. The other piece is, and this was mentioned also, the champions community. The champions community also provides access to R&D to be able to engage with them, and so you can understand the roadmaps. And so if you're interested in joining the champions community, you can either do that, Susan is around, also just through the website. On 3ds.com/ENOVIA, we have a communities link, and you can request membership to that. And so I apologize to overspeak, but I do want to catch your question, please.
So all the information you showed was great. It's really cool. I'm curious more about some of the core functionality, like the security model, security vectors, anything changing with that to make it more flexible to support different, user security situations and permissions.
Do we have the right people here to answer that question? I guess we can.
I think you can hear, but there's no clear answer. Maybe James, yeah?
I mean, we've done we understand that the complexity of the security model can be challenging. So we're working on trying to simplify where we can. Maybe while we can connect offline, I'll have you discuss with myself and Menka. Maybe at the reception tonight, come look for me, and I can kind of give you some of the things that we're working on.
Right. Sounds good. I can give you some examples too
Very
of what
good.
we're facing.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
More questions? That was obviously a tough one, as we expect. Other questions before we bring out our next speaker? Again, it's a great opportunity to be able to we've got one over here. Again, I think Loic is right behind you.
Hi, yeah. So many of the functionalities you talked about, right? So most of them are in the SaaS, like a cloud. So there is a customer who want to leverage some of the SaaS and being on-premise, right? So any kind of a connector or a integration to still on the on-premise but use some of these Aura and things on the cloud?
Yeah, so for the companions, I think there are different aspects, and with NetVibes, there
go
are
ahead.
answers probably to that. As per the companions, for now, it's a SaaS capability. We don't have, as far as I can tell, a plan to support on-premise, which would be difficult for different reasons, I would say. So for now, there are no plans. Let's see where the future drives us, but for now, it's a SaaS capability.
So I can add something. Yes, Gen 7, what we do in Gen 7 is only SaaS, clearly. But what I show you about supplemental, what I call supplemental, is the fact that you can reveal the on-premise data in fact, technically, it's an index on the SaaS, make you accessible for the virtual companions. So there is no technical issue. With supplemental, you will be able to use your companion by the data you leverage from your on-premise. Okay?
But the data has to go in SaaS
Yes.
in a way. And
So yes.
Yeah.
So we have to use that connector. Yeah.
Thanks.
So thank you all. Again, remember these faces as you can engage them a little bit later. I don't want to take too much time away from our next speaker because he's already waiting in the wings and ready for that. And so thank you, gentlemen, for your presentation today.